guys, this is the Lala Legacy, and welcome back to another episode of Symphonic Rain. So let's jump back in. Let's call it a day. I could judge the quality of that performance best myself. Repetition was fundamental to practice. Still, while habituation was necessary, playing with others and getting used to the tension from playing for an audience was also pretty important. But it was common to practice on one's own whenever one deemed it necessary. As such, I might come here more often in the future. Time to go home. It was getting late. After cleaning up the practice room, I went home. Okay, December 6th. I had finished my lesson and lunch as usual. Well then, what shall I do now? Practice room. Left practice room, I believe. Yes? I head towards the practice room at the far end of the long hallway. The location Fal and I had agreed on. Yes, here we go. Since I was dying to know about her voice and musical orientation, I decided to go out and meet her on the first appointed day. Thinking back, I could count the number of times I had played together with people I'd only just met on one hand. With a prick of nervousness in my chest, I peeked inside through the small door window and spotted her facing away from me. I wondered at first how to call out to her if she was singing, but she didn't appear to be. Instead, she was sitting facing the piano, seemingly reading a score. Excuse me. Due to the soundproof equipment, it was unlikely that she would notice that knock. Still, I casually struck the door before entering just to be sure. Excuse me. Chris! Good afternoon. She pulled back the piano bench and turned to look at me. I'm so glad you decided to come today. Well, I did not have any plans in particular. As I lowered my bag from my shoulder, wondering how to advance the conversation, Fal went straight to the point. It is a bit abrupt, but let us start right away. Since this is the first time, any piece would be agreeable, but if possible, it might be most efficient to perform our actual graduation pieces. Indeed, Chris, I do believe you compose your own pieces, yes? Yes. Does the vocal department equally necessitate self-composure of pieces? Did that not come out right? Or whoops, did that come out right? Are you not used to speaking formally? Not really. Is it that obvious? Well, that sentence did not sound very natural. You are speaking that way like it is the most natural thing in the world, though. How about I drop the formalities as well, then? Huh? We're in the same year, after all, she said roguishly, striking home the fact that she was actually my age. It'd be weird talking so stiffly to each other when we're partners, hypothetically speaking, of course. Her conscientious choice of words never felt out of place at all. She'd probably been talking this way on a regular basis throughout her life. On the other hand, speaking like a regular girl seemed to come naturally to her too. You're right. Then let's just talk normally. If it's okay with you, let's. Okay. Having somehow arrived at a mutual agreement, we returned back on topic. Anyway, I have my own song as well. I composed it to be accompanied by a fortell, so we should be okay on that front. For a fortell? If possible, I wanted to pair with a fortellist, but don't worry, I have a song prepared to perform solo. I was somewhat awestruck by her meticulous preparation. It was in sharp contrast with my own approach to music, though since she was the one who offered to play with me, I probably shouldn't worry too much about that right now. I don't know what kind of piece you have, but we'll have to decide on one first. You are correct. You're right. We had only just decided to be casual, yet I was fumbling with my words again. I had rarely ever spoken to girls besides Torta and Ari, and it showed. If you have difficulties with it, just talk to me whichever way you want. Val open-heartedly reassured me. Although I hadn't decided whether to partner with her yet, I thought I should take the possibility into account and just talk to her casually. Nah, I'll talk normally, don't worry. Well, it's not like you have to force yourself. Oh well, anyway, about which piece to do. Can I give my input on that? Go ahead. Until now, I'd been mindlessly drilling my current piece. It wasn't like I didn't put my heart into composing it, just that it wasn't a piece composed with a particular vocalist in mind. If I had to point out someone, it was probably Ari. Her singing was almost or laughably bad though, so I obviously hadn't been picturing her singing it in my mind when I made it. No, it was a piece I composed while reminiscing about her whenever I read her letters. The piece I've composed might not suit you very well. What do you mean? I made it on the premise of a different person singing it, so the range might not match your voice, for instance. Oh, I see. It was probably okay to lie about this. The piece likely wouldn't have met her standards. So how about going with yours? I don't particularly mind. She went silent for a moment. She then searchingly looked into my eyes and produced a smile. I see. Then let's do so. Okay. Good. This means my transcribing of the score hasn't been for naught. I was relieved she didn't press me for details, and then I came to the realization that I had completely forgotten to copy my score beforehand. You already transcribed it? I'd completely forgotten about that. Really? Then I guess it worked out perfectly, she said, taking out a score from her bag in the meantime. Here, I kind of rushed it, so it might be a bit crude. It only took a quick glance over to see that she was just being modest. The notes and symbols were elegantly drawn, and terms were abbreviated, giving the impression she was experienced with score writing. It didn't look crude at all. On the contrary, I thought it was really well done. You call this crude? To me it is, but more importantly, what do you think of the piece? Val inquired playfully. I imagined the melody, and lowered myself on the bench in front of the fortel. What do you think? One sec. I traced my fingers along the keyboard while progressing, sorry. Chris, are you good at sight reading? Oh, I can do it, I suppose. Then want to try right away? Anytime you're ready. Sure, let's do it. Okay. Oh gosh, here we go. And it's a new piece. Ah! I don't know how to do this! I don't know what to do here. Whoops. shoot. That's gonna take a while for me to get used to. Ah! Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to try doing that later on in my own time. Nice job. Not bad for a first time. Sorry, I messed up a bunch of times there. Yup. Well, your sight reading, so don't worry too much about it. Thanks. Your singing was great, though. I've been rehearsing this since forever. After all, with the time we have, you could reach that level too if you wanted. Perhaps. Since we still have time, how about retrying a few more times? Good idea. Do you mind if I point out where you can make some improvement? Everywhere! Please do. It's probably fastest if the composer corrects me on these things. Right, for starters, on the second page. Her face was suddenly really close as she pointed at a certain point on the score sheet. She was at a range where I could practically feel her breath. Her eyes never actually went to where she was pointing at, but remained fixed on mine. Huh? I'm sorry. It's okay. Anyway, it seemed your fingers weren't moving very smoothly at this part. But if we perfect it a bit, it won't be a problem in the end. She awkwardly stepped away from me, acting calm and composed, yet her face turned a shade of red. It made my heart ache a little. Her facial expression was exactly like one Ari had shown me once. It wasn't like I'd grown to be that self-conscious. Just that Fal's expression was enough for me to be strongly reminded of her. Right. If I focus on those points, I think I can work it out. Yeah. After all, this was only the first time. I changed the subject to avoid touching on what had just happened. Fal seemed relieved at this as well. Then, I'll continue to my next point of concern, okay? Please do. She put a bit more distance between us compared to the last time before continuing. The atmosphere thankfully never turned particularly awkward after that. We both turned back to our scores and resumed practicing. Whew. Whew. Today's practice session ended with us both letting out deep breaths. It'd been long since I'd performed with anyone other than Forney, and a piece other than my usual, no less, which perhaps explained why I enjoyed myself so much. Although I couldn't look outside, a cursory glance at the clock on the wall told me it had pretty much become evening. Time passes quickly when you're so absorbed in practice, doesn't it? It was still a little before the institute would close completely. But some instructor on duty might come around soon. We hurriedly began cleaning up. What should I do with the score? Oh, take it with you. I don't intend to practice with anyone besides you right now. And if I do, I'll just transcribe it again. Is transcribing really such a trivial task? I idly wondered, thinking back on when I'd had to transcribe several famous pieces in class once. I'm used to it. Besides, I kinda like doing it, she said casually, even producing a smile in apparent delight. I see. I was genuinely interested by that. and then felt a bit ashamed about my own slacking. I had yet to decide on a partner for my compulsory graduation recital, and hadn't even prepared a score for such undecided person. Face to face with someone like Val, who put earnest effort into everything, my flaws were blatantly exposed. "You're such a hard worker." "That's not true." Val smiled happily, then lifted up her bag, indicating she had finished packing up. At the sight, I quickly shoved the score into my bag, and we both went outside. Glancing out the window, I noticed the rain was pretty calm. "Are you going home now, Val?" "Sorry. While I'd like to walk home with you, that won't be possible today." "I see." "What a pity. Actually, we weren't close enough for me to feel that way. In fact, her saying that she would have liked to walk home with me seemed dubious in itself. I'm going home now." "Okay. Oh, before you go, I'd like to ask you something." "What is it?" "What are your thoughts on today?" "Thoughts?" "Like, what did you think of my song and such?" "Well, I think I told you before, but I thought it was great." "Really? Thanks. I really liked your foretell playing as well." "I see. Thanks." Before I knew it, my initial discomfort at the thought of performing with a stranger had all but dissipated. It was no doubt all thanks to her constantly putting me at ease. Although we'd only spent a short while together, I doubted there were many people who wouldn't come to admire a girl so diligent about everything she did. Being no exception to that, I naturally returned her smile and asked her about what to do next. "So, what shall we do from now on?" "I suppose you'd like some more time before deciding on a partner?" "Yeah." "In that case, I'm always here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you have time, let's practice again, sorry." "I can't guarantee anything, though." "Of course, I don't mind." "Okay, so should I meet you at the same time as today for our next meeting?" "Yes, let's stick with the same place, too. If the room is taken, I'll be in the next. Just peek in through the window." "I'll do that." I thought I'd take some time to decide what to do from now on. Taking the time to expand my alternatives was important right now. "What will you do now?" "I have some business to attend to in the main building." "Then I'll see you off at the front door." As she stood in front of the building, Val glanced upward at the sky. "I don't have an umbrella with me today." "The rain's gotten pretty light, so we should be fine." "Right. See you later, then." "Yeah, see ya." After spending a minute staring at Val's retreating figure as she rhythmically walked into the distance, I set out for the City of Rain. Like I mentioned to Val, the rain was weak. My uniform, which would normally get drenched and coil around my skin, didn't even feel all that unpleasant now. Perhaps because of that, I didn't feel inclined to increase my pace, and leisurely walked home amidst the rain. Okay, 7th of December. Well then, what shall I do now? Let's go to the practice room. I decided not to meet anyone today and to simply practice on my own. So that when I did meet someone, I could put on an even better performance. That was sort of my reasoning. I should decide first whether to play some piece from start to finish or just practice tidbits here and there. We're gonna practice, so practice a piece from start to finish. Which piece should I practice? But actually, because of the part that we're at right now, I'm going to stop this episode so that way I can come back to this in my own free time and practice and hopefully get better at Val's piece for the next time that I record. So, I will see you guys in the next video, and don't forget, if you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, subscribe. By subscribing, you're becoming part of a legacy. So I will see you guys in the next video. I love you guys. Bye!